Suicidal Cinema. The Suicidal Cinema. Fuck, I'm going to start that again. Hi, whoever's just joined us. You're tuning into the first episode of the Suicidal Cinefiles. I'm Linda, and we've got...
Ren, yes.
That was a very delayed
that was delayed.
introduction.
Yeah.
Ren, if you don't know, we're both two film students recently. Former film students, recently out of uni.
It's meaningless, but that's fine.
Yeah, we got our degrees and wiped our asses with it, but it's fine.
Yeah. Good paper.
Yeah, it is. It's top-notch paper.
It's top-notch. It's thick.
Yeah.
It's absorbent.
Yeah, I know.
It's got your name on it too. It's like it's made for you.
I know. I like to tear out my name perfectly so it's in one perfect square. Mm-hmm. And no, I'm just kidding. So today we are going to talk about Ghost in the Shell. So the film came out recently here in
saw it yesterday.
Australia. We saw it yesterday. As we were just saying before, Ren is not too much of an anime/manga fan, and I, on the other hand, am. I like to watch.
I respect it.
He respects it.
I don't necessarily
like it,
love it,
yeah,
or have much of it. I'm not hugely familiar with it. Every time
I watch it, he won't go out of his way to watch it on Netflix, is what he's trying to say.
Yeah, watch something else.
So before we start talking about our own thoughts on the film, I'm just going to read out a bit about it. So Ghost in a Shell, it is a live action remake, of the Japanese franchise Ghost in a Shell starting from 1989. It was just inspired by the events of the 1995 animation films, as well as a lot of the other manga and anime stories that have been written.
Yeah.
Ghost in the Shell follows a cyborg named Major. I can't pronounce this right. I'm sorry. It's Motoko.
Well, in the film, she is called Mira Killian.
But the real name is Motoko.
The original
Kusanagi.
name is, yes, Motoko's Kusanagi.
And they're just placed in a futuristic, I think it's Newport City, was it?
I don't actually know. I haven't.
I think it's called a place called Newport City.
Yeah.
And pretty much technology and...
Well, it's like the whole opening of both the original and the new one.
Technology and reality have been thinned quite.
Yeah, they mention like a network sort of situation where everybody's connected.
Yeah, you're connected to the internet, which is pretty much 14-year-old version.
It's in the cyberpunk genre, so it's all about that, the melding of organic and machines.
It was when I was 14, that was my dream. So this villain called the Puppet Master has begun to ghost hack into the minds of altered human beings.
That is the plot of the 95 version.
Is that not the plot? Oh, no.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
The
new version talks similarly. He does hack into the minds of people, but his main objective is to kill a bunch of scientists from a single...
So I think it's worth going over. So now that we've sort of set the stage.
Yeah.
I think it's, if you're a fan of the original anime, then you're probably... I don't know whether you'll be either...
Thrilled?
Pissed off or delighted.
Yeah.
At how much they change in the film. Because it's like... Do you really want to see a shot-for-shot remake of something that already exists, or do you want to see something that's just a little bit different? Like I've seen the original. I've recently rewatched the original.
Yeah, we recently watched the original.
I like it. I don't love it. It's, as I've said, I think that, and I think it's just it's a cultural thing. It's you get to the end, and then they spend the entire last 20 minutes of the film explaining why everything was significant.
Yeah.
In dialogue, and
there's a lot of expository in the film. And I said this after I was in a downright huff when I walked out. So I was like, this is not what I wanted. But it was the highest highs and the lowest lows. Some of the scenes were really well shot. I
think the whole film looks really good.
Yeah, but paying in homage to the original.
Yeah.
There were certain moments I was like, oh my God, this is in a way exactly like the same.
Exactly the thing. Yeah.
But it was a beautiful shot in the animation, and it was a beautiful shot in live action.
I think there's two sequences in particular, and it's the opening where we see the Major's creation.
Oh yeah.
Where she's put into the body and all sorts of stuff. It's almost
exactly.
It's almost exactly the same.
Yeah.
And also later on in the sort of the market.
Yeah, when she's running through the water and there's those really high-rise buildings. That was really nice. The music's also almost exactly the same.
I think it's worth noting the composer for the first one is Kenji Kawai, who's done Ip Man among many other things. But I think the only part that they kept that I know of, that I noticed, was the sort of the theme music, with the choral arrangement and the drums.
Yeah,
they keep that in the film, but the rest of it's done by Clint Mansell and somebody else.
It's very iconic though, because they do that a lot. What they'll do is if they're remaking a certain film or what's that called when you revamp it or reboot it, they'll keep the original. Yeah, they'll keep the original theme to kind of keep nostalgia. Nostalgia is a huge thing. But in these films, it's a huge thing because that's what draws a lot of the audience in, because they want to feel the same way they felt when they originally saw the animated version. I was
I think it's just worth saying, I think, to just sort of put a pretty fine point on it, it's not the same film at all.
No.
It's got scenes that are obviously in homage to the original, but it's all done in a very different way. You sort of hit similar plot points, but it's all different. So I'll just say, like, the original film is like very introspective about not just about the major sort of place and everything, but then how she ends up sort of finding something that sees itself like her and whatever, which is this thing called the Puppet Master, which is a rogue AI sort of thing that's hacking its way through things and people and so on. And in the film, it's a guy who is sort of, again, like her, called Hideo Kuze. And I found out today when I was looking into some stuff that the name Hideo Kuze has significance in the
anime.
What's it called? Standalone Complex.
Standalone.
Second Gig, I think it is.
The second, yeah.
Yeah, he's a terrorist with the Individual 11, I think they're called, some sort of group. I haven't watched it. This is just what I've heard. But he's against, like, the whatever, Unit 9, or what are they called? Unit 9?
Section 9.
Section 9, that's 9, it.
Yeah.
That Major is a part of. But it's interesting because this is more about her past and her finding out what she is and where she came from, but there's all these things like that they bring back. I was having a look at Standalone Complex today. First episode, there are robo-geishas holding like delegates hostage, which isn't in the original film but is in the series, and it is in the new film. Yeah. To sort of replace the opening sequence, not so much replace, but to put a different twist on the opening sequence.
I think it's a much more interesting, because when you have animation, you can make it as interesting as you want, and it could be as simple as you want. But to make a live action, like, if, for those who don't know, in the original 1995 version, she kind of jumps down, shoots
through
the window at a fish tank. Yeah, the fish tank, and then drops down and disappears. And it looks amazing in animation, but if you think about making something like that into a live action,
it'd be very bang when it's done.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to drag it out in that slow.
They could have done it.
You could have, but they could have done it. The geishas, I think, was a better choice.
Geishas is cool. Geishas are
cool. It would have been a better choice.
They look good, and they're interesting.
Yeah. I had this huge, like, issue with the fact that everything was very, very convenient. Like, everything fell into place quite easily. And the biggest scene that I had the biggest problem with was that scene where she, like, I'm not sure if this happened in the original.
I should say that we're just going to spoil the movie.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Sorry, guys. But yeah, I'm not sure if this happened in the original anime TV show, because it didn't happen in the movie, but it was pretty much hinted that when Major got, like, turned into a cyborg, her face got remade into someone else's face, which is why Scarlett Johansson can play the Major and not some, like, Japanese lady or a Chinese or an Asian actress. And then she goes to try and find her mum, and
that was an awkward scene.
Yeah, like, so her mum, pretty much what happens is she goes up to her mum's apartment, the door's open.
Well, you sort of have to take it through step by step. So, like, she's following this terrorist guy, this hacker, who is called Kuze through the whole film, and he eventually sort of captures her and tells her about the fact that, you know, she's not the first. She's been told she's the first by Juliette Binoche's character, who's Dr. Ule, French.
Yeah.
that she's like the first of her kind, like a completely synthetic except for her brain. Yeah, so she's the ghost in the shell. And
there's been no one else like her.
There's nobody else like it. But it turns out he was one of like 98.
Yeah, well, she was the 98th experiment. Yeah. So she goes on a bit of a rampage.
Yeah, and he's like all messed up. And
yeah, he's all weird. And then what happens is after they recapture the Major again, they're Mr. Cutter, his name is just Cutter.
Yeah, the guy who's the head of that.
The actual antagonist, he pretty much asked for her termination.
Because it sort of goes to RoboCop territory. So in RoboCop...
A little bit.
In RoboCop, they like take this injured guy who's pretty much dead and they put him inside this robot body and try and... I mean, everybody's seen RoboCop, you know how it goes. They
Not everyone.
Basically, they control his free will. The corporation controls his will to regulate the police force, sort of thing.
Yeah. Either way, Dr. Ulay ends up setting her free. She gives back her memories, doesn't she?
Yeah. It's like she's been given like this drug to put through. Like everybody's got like a plug in the back of their neck.
Think of like the Matrix. Everyone's got a plug at the back of their head.
Yeah. It's like there's this medication because she keeps getting like these. She calls them glitches, but they're basically like actual memories coming back.
Yeah.
One of them's of a cat, and the other one's of like a little shrine house on fire.
Yeah. Anyway, so then Dr. Ulay pretty much just says, "This is your past." Blah blah blah. Tells Major to run. Major, shoot some guys.
I think she gives her. Does she give her like a memory card thing,
or
does she get?
Key.
Yeah.
It's an apartment number. I thought originally it was a memory number, a memory card or something like that. No, but it's actually like it has Avon Apartments or something, and then a number.
Yeah.
Anyway, she goes to the apartment and it's her old place.
Yeah.
And a cat comes out and she picks up the cat and
it's the cat she's been seeing.
Yeah. And then her mum, her
actual mother,
her actual mum comes out. You don't really know, but obviously it's kind of like duh. And her mum just invites her in, sits her down and starts making her tea.
It's weird.
And then when she says, whose room is that? Because she points to this packed up room.
That's my daughter.
It's my daughter.
I'll tell you my life story.
Yeah. And she
ran away.
She ran away. She was always so happy. And then she like turns to Scarlett Johansson in this really, really
and then she's just like, you remind me of her.
This very manufactured.
It's like, oh, really?
Kind of intense scene where Scarlett Johansson's pulling her serious face.
It sounds like the director was going, but do you reckon the audience understands yet? Do you reckon they get it yet?
We didn't. I don't know.
Think they understand yet?
Do you think that's her mum?
It's like, is that her mother? No, it's not. No. You remind me of her. Oh, it is.
Oh my God. You look at me the same way she looked at me.
Oh.
And then her mum's, because at the very beginning of the film, you see like 1 year later and the Major's all like superhero. Yeah. And then the mum's like, she died a year ago.
Yeah.
Oh.
Did she?
Oh. Yeah, her mum says like, yeah, she died a year ago.
So, okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of like,
that part went straight over my head. I think
someone was paying so much attention to that scene. You know what? Like, it seems, that's what I'm saying when it's like the highest highs and the lowest lows. There were so many amazing scenes. Like
there were some good parts, but all the good parts I think were in reference to the original. And so it was like the opening with the geishas and all that sort of stuff was like, it was different, but it was still kind of the same.
Yeah, like the choreographed scenes were really nice.
I thought the action was a bit mixed. Some of it I liked and some of it I thought was... Yeah. The worst action sequence happens in a... it's just before she properly meets Kuzey and talks to him. She gets shocked by... She gets into a fight with a guy with a stun baton.
I don't really consider that an action scene.
Well, it's still like a fight. And you can't see what's going on because it's in the dark and it's all done by the flashes of the
I didn't really understand that either. I just thought that didn't really remind me of an action scene.
Where the hell is this? What's happening? And then it's like, oh, she's dead.
To me, it's funny because, she's getting shocked and then all of a sudden you see her like hung up by like her neck plug. And then at the same time, her partner, like Batel.
Yeah, Batel.
He's still looking for her. And I'm like, how long has she been knocked out for? Like 20 seconds?
And how long has he been looking for her?
Yeah, and I'm like, this place, how big is this place?
It's literally, they go into, it's like some like shitty little club.
It's like behind the club. So they go into a club and she like shoots her way through like the first, few henchmen and she's like, I'm going in and he's following behind her. And
but it's not the club though. The club's earlier on.
Oh no! They go and find this place.
They find out where he is, but it's like it's pretty obvious that Kuzey is like gone. This is where I am on purpose. To lure her there. which is exactly what.
Yeah, because he's created a network through the minds of other people.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that was.
I like that. Yeah. That was cool. The fact that he was. The reason why they were having trouble getting him was because he'd like basically had like a farm of people, almost like monks sitting around like looking like they were praying. They were connected to like a one thing to the back of their necks. That was cool. No, it's like it's all of the scenes that are in the original are kind of the best bits. Like there's there's a whole bit in the original which is really good, which involves a garbage truck, basically. The garbage truck is like the guy talking about his daughter.
Oh, that's pretty.
With his friend, and he's just like, here's a picture of her and all sorts of stuff, and the friend doesn't look at it because it's not a picture of a little girl. It's
actually a picture of him, and then
it's a picture of him. Yeah, but like in the original, it's like they're doing it, and then another guy who's hacking for the puppet master is on the road, who's told him apparently all this stuff he needs to do to hack. To find out what his wife's been doing with his daughter. Yeah. And then it sort of Major ends up catching up with them and she chases this guy through the market. Yeah. And then they end up in like a little reservoir area in the water. And in the live action film, it looks almost exactly the same. Yeah. Like it's almost shot for shot. Yeah. And it looks great. It's awesome.
It looks really good, yeah.
And the scene after that where they're interrogating him is really good too, I thought.
No, when she holds up this hologram of his face, and she's like, who's this? And he's like, that's my daughter.
But it's him.
Yeah, and you could very clearly say it's him. And it's really quite bizarre. And
it's all about that whole thing. It's like
can you really trust your own memories?
Can you trust your own memories in this world now that everything can be hacked into, including your own brain?
That's pretty crazy. Like I said, that was like that was one of the really good scenes, but at the same time we were talking about the scene right before it where so the truck drivers have pretty much been hacked into chasing down Dr. Olay. And so she's driving along this road and they pretty much T-bone her with this garbage truck. Yeah. Not her, but her car.
The car, yeah.
And then they just come out and they've got...
Yeah, Section 9 turn up because they've worked out what's happening.
But the garbage people come out and they've got firearms.
Yeah, that was the biggest... That I was going, where'd these garbage guys get these heavy machine guns?
Maybe it's like this future where everyone has guns.
Everybody's armed, yeah.
In Japan?
Hey, it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, the guns looked very garbage-like. They were like this weird
they looked
yellow.
they were weird looking.
They matched the aesthetic. Yeah. So I'm thinking, do garbage guys get attacked?
Do they just go around carrying guns?
Maybe they get attacked in the future.
Maybe,
who knows?
Possible.
But like that was a bit bizarre. I was kind of like...
That was a weird moment. I was going, why do they have guns? Because they cut out the extra guy. In this film, the extra guy who they actually chased down with.
Yeah, and then when did the guy get bio-invisity?
Also he's also got a camouflage coat on for no reason.
Could it be that...
Is that like military standard? Because that doesn't make any sense why a garbage man would have it. Yeah, it's garbage man standard.
Because in the anime, I think they were saying stuff like that is illegal unless unless
I mean they don't say that in the film, so I was, but like I don't know why a garbage man would have it. Like, why would a garbage man need to be invisible?
Just in case I want to pull a prank on someone, got my invisibility.
Pull a prank on my mate.
It's like I got this from the nearest 7-Eleven for $4. It's disposable, but
it doesn't really do its job either. Every time he like steps on the ground, he's like visible.
Isn't it like because you've watched the animation? Isn't it like every time it's been interfered with, it like sparks, like it crackles.
It looks like that does.
Yeah, because when he's running through water and the water's like bouncing off him, the image kind of shifts a little, and
you can tell where he is.
You can tell where he is. I assume the Major doesn't have that because she's not wearing a cloak. She's just made out of that material. That's just the Major.
No, I assume it's much higher quality because she's like built for murder. She's like a built weapon.
She is, much. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, let's talk about the cast.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got...
a mixture.
Yeah. So you've got Scarlett Johansson playing the Major.
Yeah.
Mira, Killian, later. Motoko Kusanagi, because we find out later on that she ran away, and there were like a bunch of runaway kids who lived in this little place.
Shrine, yeah. And
then like the government came and took them all to experiment on them. Yeah. And that was like the 98
people.
Yeah, she was
98 people living in that shrine.
Yeah, 98. Maybe it was like over time.
Yeah, it could have been like multiple places.
I feel like that's like a shelter or something that kids go to.
It could have been like just groups of people at a time, like
but once again,
studies of 10.
It's not explained, so it's like you're left to your own devices. I don't know whether that's a good thing. Like,
I don't know. Maybe I think a lot of this film also goes to the fact that they're assuming some people have seen the original or been big fans and follow it. And obviously, we both don't. Like, we both not enough to really know.
I mean, I've done some reading, but that's not enough.
There's a lot of expository for things that, like, for example, you know, how many people, what happened, the type of experiments, who's who.
I think that's all right because it's kind of the point. It just depends on, like the point of the story is her finding that out. But
yes, but at the same time, there's a lot of things that just stuck. Like I said, really conveniently placed, like the guns and the fact that the beginning of the film is literally one of the scientists / like was it the CEO or something of Hanada, who was the guy who like the geisha like sucked his brains out.
I think God,
just an important authoritative figure.
Yeah, I know he was like wasn't he like the foreign minister or something?
Or something like that. He was associated with the company.
They were talking to obviously an African delegation.
Yeah. Oh, true.
Time.
Yeah. Either way, like,
and I think he was either a company representative or a state representative.
Yeah,
I can't quite remember.
An important figure in the company.
But it's like it's not made. It doesn't really matter what he was. It's
but
okay, he had secrets.
From the very start, though, it's all about.
I'm pretty sure he was in the company.
Yeah. But it was all about like her finding out this. Like there wasn't even a very smooth transition. It was like kind of you've already cut to where you need to go, and then she like deep dives with one of the dead quotation geishas, and she almost gets hacked, and
that was actually interesting because the way that the virus or the hack is shown is like 1,000 people who are like kind of dark and sort of clawing at her, like pulling her down, and it kind of works later on when you see like the human farm.
Yeah, exactly.
You assume it's all of them, like they're combined.
Yeah. That human farm reminds me of something, and I cannot put my finger on it. But it
reminded me of Inception. You know, the bit where they go into the bit and everybody's asleep.
No, there's this other thing I've seen where if someone has a whole group of people together and they're using their brains for something. I don't know. It's either
I can't think of it.
Yeah. Have you seen Torchwood?
No.
Okay, Torchwood is like an anagram of Doctor Who, but it's also like the adult version of Doctor Who. And there's this series. There's this 5.
And Torchwood's like supposed to be like an organisation that's involved with it. That's all I know about it.
Involved with aliens, no, there's this one season, and it's only like 4 or 5 episodes long, and it just talks about. It's called Children of the Earth, and it pretty much talks about these aliens come and all the kids are like acting up, like these aliens can control all the kids, and they go, "We want 10% of all the children in the world, blah blah blah, or we will kill them all." And when they go, what do you need the kids for? And the aliens pretty much go, oh, we like to harvest them for drugs. We like the way they taste or they smell. Okay. It's really weird. So like you see just like these aliens with these huge tubes sticking out of them, and on the end of each tube is this child attached by the mouth. And he's like, yeah, children taste sweet or they make us happy. Or it's really creepy.
It's actually like pretty much the entire plot of that other Scarlett Johansson film, Under the Skin.
Ah, yeah. But like...
I swear that must have been when they decided to cast her.
Yeah.
Because she plays a very similar...
role.
Like, and not so much, but it's like this...
that type of...
inhuman thing that's trying to work out its place in the world.
Yeah. That's probably why, because I feel like Scarlett Johansson, like, she plays quite a big number of characters. Like, she can play someone who's like...
Well, I think, like, let's talk about probably the reason why she was cast.
Yeah, because in a way...
Yeah. I mean, the whole, like, whitewashing accusation, many reasons I don't buy it, but one, it's just, there were, I don't know how many production companies.
There was, like, a Shanghai...
Six different production companies, like 3 of them, two of them are from China, one of them's from India.
Yeah. It's a big...
you know, if they cared, they would have said something. But it's very clear, and it's just how it works. Yeah. You cast a very big actress, like she's known around the world.
Yeah. And
because of the amount of money they put into this, like $110 million budget, you have to try and secure. I mean, it didn't work.
No, it didn't.
I'll just say it's made $60 million at the moment,
doing very well,
which isn't good at this stage.
Think,
after the first weekend,
there was a lot of, I don't know about you, but there was a lot of backlash on like even my Facebook feed and stuff about the fact that maybe not my Facebook feed, but there was a lot of backlash that I saw in regards to her being like a white woman, like, you know, playing an predominantly Asian character. I mean, it's never really shown. The thing with anime, it's never really shown what type of ethnicity certain characters are, especially when you're talking about a futuristic.
I thought it was actually, like, I think that's true, but I thought it was actually interesting the way that they did it in the film. I don't think it was made as an excuse. I think it was almost made as like a commentary on that, because it's like she has her actual mother who is an Asian woman.
Yeah.
And then they take her away, they destroy her and like rip her apart basically.
Yeah.
And then her new mother is kind of this French woman.
Oh, yeah.
Who's kind of a mother figure to her, like the whole time she's and she, you know, she looks Anglo and all sorts of stuff. I'm like, I don't like that. That was interesting to me, like more than anything else. Like at least, and that's the whole thing as well. Like if it was a shot for shot like remake of the original, it would have just been pointless. Yeah. Like, and I know the original is very well respected, and I have respect for it as well. I just. It's not like one of my favorite films or anything. Yeah. I think it's good. I think it's really good, but
I think it's very aesthetically pleasing, and there are parts that are very, very pretty. Like one of those films where sometimes you can just watch it for the sake of having it like look nice on your screen.
And I think that's the whole thing as well. It's like some people just want to see like their favorite bits in live action. Like the whole. I knew that, like, if you're a big fan of it, you probably just love the opening.
Yeah.
Of when she's created, it's really good.
Me and my boyfriend were talking about this yesterday night after I finished watching the film, and because he's Japanese and he grew up with anime and stuff like that. And I'm Chinese, but I still liked anime. We both kind of discussed why certain people just go see like live action, even if it's just word for word the same, nothing different, why people would go back and watch it. And I think it's this idea that when it's animation, it's not very tangible to you. It's kind of like, oh, it's this very big fantasy, whereas
I think that's actually like one of the reasons why it's they changed it so much, because I think the original can be sold so much easier when it's animated than when it's...
That's also true.
It's live, because like some of the scenes would just be weird.
Yeah, because
if you did it live action,
actual anime versus like westernized animation, like Disney and stuff, it's different. Like, westernized animation is much like, I'm not saying it's completely realistic, but falls more into the line of what is realistic. Whereas in anime, people have this idea that they can do whatever they want. You know, and it works for anime because Ex Machina works for anime. Yeah. In this weird, bizarre way. Like, you watch it and, like, for example, someone will pull, like...
Shit just comes out of nowhere.
Shit just comes out huge. Someone will just pull out, like, a cake from their pockets and you'll be
it's like the anime of video games, the Metal Gear Solid franchise. That whole thing feels like they're just making it up as they go along.
Yeah, no, anime, you usually can watch something like... What's something like really bizarre? I don't know. There's a lot of bizarre animes.
I'm sure. But, you know, like, that's...
Ever watched Banana Nya? It's literally...
You told me.
I did tell you. It's a cat that's a banana.
Yeah.
And he's just bouncing around seeing...
That's the whole thing.
And that's it. And you think...
Like, I think it's novel and funny. Yeah. They can make it. I don't have a problem with that. But
I think the best representation of anime in Western culture would most likely be, like, Adventure Time, where it's kind of bizarre.
Yeah. Oh, it's like... But, like, that's not to say that, like, Western animation never gets bizarre. Like, Rick and Morty's bizarre.
I like Rick.
It's hilarious.
But Rick and Morty, they... Like, stories like that, they fall under certain, like, restraints. You know, there's always, like, oh, well, you can't do this, and this has to be a certain way for this to work. Whereas in anime, literally, you have scenes where, like...
It's nonsensical.
It's completely... Like, some girl will have this flashback, and she'll, like, break the third wall and be talking to you... Sorry. Oh, my God. Not the third wall. Third wall is not existent. The fourth wall, and she'll be, like, breaking the fourth wall in her own, like... exposition.
So it's like a soliloquy almost. Like
and it's really weird. And you have like, I don't know.
Well, it's like, I think the reason why I've said, like, my favorite anime at the moment, and I haven't watched many. I will say I haven't watched many, but my favorite one, because I've watched it all the way through, the only thing I haven't seen is the movie, is Cowboy Bebop.
You talk about that all the time.
And I think it's because it is really westernized. Yeah. Like, it's a very Western anime. Like,
actually, you know what? I'm going to talk about...
Because there's, like, no barrier for me to get through. I just get it.
I'm going to talk about this really, really popular anime, which is Sailor Moon.
Oh, gosh.
And if you...
Everybody knows what that is.
Everyone knows what it is. But if you think about how bizarre it is...
It is bizarre.
It is completely bizarre. And you're thinking it's completely unreasonable. I mean, these girls have school. They've got lives to live and all this stuff. And there's they're spending their nights outside fighting crime, and somehow like Sailor Mercury still has like the ability to have an IQ of like over 200 and all this stuff. And even like when you watch Rick and Morty,
yeah, it's still bizarre.
It's bizarre, but you would never have to think about that, or you never have to worry about that, because like it's just it never even touches on that.
I have no problem as long as like you're trying your hardest to make something and it works out. Like if
think about
it's
Yu-Gi-Oh.
good,
think about Yu-Gi-Oh. Okay, you're literally playing card games.
It's a card game.
Yeah, and there's no theory, there's no logic behind it other than magic.
Yeah,
magic, old Egyptian magic.
Yeah,
and. Like, if you think about...
But I don't even know whether it's accurate Egyptian magic. It's just like whatever they was...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we'll
but
just shove...
If you think about it, these animes are successful in the Western world because they're a bit more westernized.
Yeah.
And they're made... Think about actual, like, Japanese anime. Anime that... I watched this anime called... Everyone probably... All girls... A lot of girls might know. It's called Ouran High School Host Club. Okay. Literally talks about a girl who... She's... Okay, so the story starts... She goes into a school... really posh school through a scholarship... breaks a pot worth like $2 million, and the only way she can pay it back is through working for this club.
Yep.
And it's a host club, which means pretty guys sit around and entertain ladies.
Guys.
No, literally pretty guys. But the funny thing is, they mistake her for a guy because the year before she cut her hair short after she got, I think it was gum stuck in her hair or something.
Okay.
The face you're
really
pulling,
bizarre.
yeah, exactly. See, stuff like this, it's kind of like, we want this to be realistic, but in the most non-realistic way possible. So you're watching it and you're thinking, and I'm thinking to myself, this is the best show ever. Oh my God, look at all those hot guys. This is like 17-year-old Linda here. Oh my God. You know what? I still like the show. Yeah, and it's very like, it's like bizarre in the most realistic way possible. And that's what anime is. But
no, I don't like it. They make their own logic. Yeah. Really, that's what they do, and that's fine. Like, but
if you have short hair and glasses, you're automatically a boy. Doesn't matter if you have boobs.
Anime. Sometimes it's like you don't know.
No.
Anime
can just like, it just plays with your feelings, you know.
But I think it's like the reason why we talk about anime is like, you know, there's a cultural difference. I don't mind there being one, but like if they're going to make a Western Ghost in the Shell movie, of course it's going to be different. Like it's not going to be exactly the same. I mean, you know, they like one asset I really liked, even though he's criminally underused, is Takeshi Kitano as what's his name?
Kata?
No.
Is talking about the old guy?
Aramaki or something.
Oh wait,
grey hair.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's cool. I've seen him in a couple of other things. I was reading his bio today on IMDb. I mean, I don't know how true it is.
He's very big in Japan, isn't he?
He's huge in Japan.
He's been in quite a few films, Japanese films.
He apparently started out. He was trying to be like an engineer at school, and then he got kicked out for unruly behavior or something, like being too rebellious. And then he used to be like a doorman or something at a comedy / strip club or something. And then one night a comedian failed to turn up or couldn't make it, and so he just got on stage and did his own thing.
Oh, okay.
And then he took off, and then it was like he was in a film, I think it's Violent Cop.
Yeah.
Which he ended up directing because the director couldn't...
His life is just a bunch of...
It's like he just walks into situations and goes, oh yeah, I can do it.
Is this like a porno? He walks in and it's like, the director's failed to show up. You have to take his place. Oh no.
But he's in Violent Cop himself as the lead actor and everything. I've watched it. It's not a bad film. Yeah. Like, it's pretty good.
You know, Japanese people, like, because anime is so popular as well, like there's very little like actual live action films, like solid, you know, because in westernized, like, obviously,
I'm sure there's like plenty of live action films, but I know that anime is like a very big deal.
It's more sought after. There's more money put into it. There's a lot of money put into animation these days. If you look at I watched it came out quite recently, Kimi no Nawa, and the animation in there is
that your name?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Animation, like, if we're just talking about the animation storyline, you probably hate, but I've
heard of it.
It's just the most beautiful film, like, in terms of everything. It's almost completely realistic to a point that it's a bit bizarre watching it because you're thinking,
isn't this an anime?
Yeah, because it's so, everything's so, and you go back like maybe, you can go back 10 years and you look at anime then versus anime now, and you can see like technology is going ridiculous far, and it doesn't look cheap because I feel like with certain animation, if you choose to do it digitally or if you choose to do it a certain way, it's technically higher quality, but it looks cheaper because it's not as kind of, I don't know, like the texture's off. I don't know how to describe it.
I know. I was talking to a friend a while ago who's a Dragon Ball Z fan. He was watching what's the latest one? Dragon Ball Z GT?
No, GT was the one like when I was like 10.
I don't even know.
Who knows?
I don't keep
ZX?
up with it.
I don't know.
I don't know. He was talking about like one of the more recent ones, and he would Snapchat me pictures of the animation. He was just like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah, they've cheapened it quite a bit. That makes me sad.
It looked pretty bad. It did. It didn't look great.
I even go to far. Sailor Moon got revamped a few years back, and even I think the new animation for that just isn't as nice. I think it looks a bit.
I think something's lost when things go to digital.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
There's something like Ghost in the Shell. I think is hand drawn.
You can tell though.
Like so's Akira from the 80s.
You can tell because that type of manga / anime is very like it's so dark and gritty, and you can tell it's all done by pencil, and it's all like what they do is normally
it looks consistent.
Yeah. I used to watch this anime, and what would happen is like the manga was drawn by the original artist, fine, but the anime was drawn by several different artists, so you have each character looking a little different every episode.
Okay.
Like certain main characters look consistent, but there was this one character, and like he had blue eyes. He was like brown hair, blue eyes, and some episodes he'd have these really small beady eyes, and he would look really weird and creepy. And then other times he'd have these big blue doll eyes, and it was really bizarre. It was a very subtle difference. Like you could have kind of put it like, maybe that's how he looked in that situation, or but if you think about it, I'm just like, this is weird. And I didn't even realize it was different artists until I looked it up, and it was like, oh, drawn by blah 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 blah. So I had 3-4 different names, and I'm like, okay, well then each person draws it a little differently. Anyways, getting back to Ghost in the Shell.
That's just one thing I wanted to make about the whole whitewashing thing.
Oh yeah.
As well, just before we move on. It's all behind like this whole thing of like cultural appropriation, like the whole
which
you can't.
Ren doesn't believe.
No, here's the thing. It's like if you believe that that's the case. Then it's like no cultures can cross at all. Everybody who's like Japanese must do Japanese things, and everybody. But what I'm saying is like, so there's a lot of complaints about Ghost in the Shell because of supposed to be a Japanese character being played by Scarlett Johansson.
They kind of like annulled that argument when they explained how her face was rebuilt, though. So I can accept that.
That's true, but like I'm actually going to say that most of the people who make the argument don't want to see the film anyway, and probably aren't going to see it and don't care. I mean, that's a statement, but it's. But I will say that one of the most awarded Broadway shows in the last year or so, probably more. I don't know how long it's been going, but are you familiar with Hamilton?
I have heard of it, but I'm not too.
Okay, so it's
familiar.
What do you call it? It's a Broadway musical about, what's his name? Alexander Hamilton. He was one of the founding fathers of America. He started the Federalist Party, the Coast Guard, and the New York Post newspaper. And he was the Treasury Secretary for George Washington. So, like, very early days America. Apparently, I think most of it's done through, like, hip-hop or rap or something like that. And I think pretty much all of the main characters aren't white or aren't played by white people.
I think Ghost in a Shell is not a very good example of whitewashed films.
I'd say if you were going to do it, like, where it doesn't really make sense, I would point out Iron Fist.
Yeah.
That seems more, because I don't know why the hell they picked him.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the action, he can't do it. And the guy that they passed up, whose name I can't remember, but who's still in the show, he can at least do
the stunts,
action.
Well, I think the biggest ones, I think it all started, this whole whitewash thing I feel like started back when like they started casting like people of color in roles that were traditionally white. So the ones I can think of, well, I think the show was called Annie, the musical.
Oh yeah,
about that little girl, and everyone was. I don't think people were as pissed off about that as they were about the new Fantastic Four.
The thing I'm saying is I'm just pointing out there's a double standard.
Yeah, no,
it's
I
like when it's like Asian people being replaced by white people, everybody complains. Or it's black people getting replaced by white people. But when it's the other way around, everybody goes, no, it's fine.
Oh, well, I don't think that's true because when not the original, but the new Fantastic Four, the not very good one, none of them are good, but the even worse one, that one came out. Remember, like, the Human Torch was replaced by a
Michael B. Jordan?
Yeah, it's replaced by him. And I have no issues with that. I mean,
no, I don't.
Yeah, but a lot of people a lot of white supremacists were apparently very upset.
I don't know whether I would say it's white supremacists.
Okay.
But I don't.
A lot of people, either way,
like,
a lot of people were
People
upset.
are going to get annoyed. The point is like it doesn't. That's not a factor in the quality of the film in the end.
Okay, well, the thing that annoyed me, I guess, the only two films that really annoy me, and I've told you this before, is Avatar: Last Airbender because hear me out, is they've casted like other characters like Zuko and General Iroh as all ethnic characters, and it's only the three main characters they casted was white. And I think that's silly because if you're going to say, well, we're gonna cast these people true to their religion, I mean their race, why are we all of a sudden, and like the casting wasn't that great, and the film itself wasn't.
I mean,
that
the
good.
film's terrible, but the difference with that as well is like it's not based on a real race either.
Oh, but apparently the writer, I'm not sure if this is the writer, but each like bending, like each element, they're all based upon certain ethnic groups.
Okay.
So like Fire Nation, I think, is like Korean, Chinese, like, you know, Japanese, and then.
But didn't they cast Dev Patel as like?
Yeah, look, it's all over the place. It's all. It wasn't a good film to begin with.
Like this is what I mean. Like you're getting, it's like okay, so we have to have Koreans playing this role, but then you cast an Indian guy. It's like he gets the role. He might be really good.
No. But like what I'm trying to say is, if you're going to cast people of color to symbolize the fact that people of color are actually in the animation, why would you simply? I think it's the idea. It's the idea of casting someone who was portrayed as a person in color, and purposely going away to portray them as white and being unapologetic about it. I think in certain situations, like if. Like, that's why I'm saying Ghost in the Shell is a really bad example of this because they've pretty much explained this whole theory that, you know, they changed her face. So she was Japanese and now she's not. And I'm actually okay with that. I'm actually like, well, then that doesn't mean she's not Japanese. It just means that, you know.
She's a robot.
She's a robot. It doesn't matter. Robots don't have ethnicity. Just so happen, like Scarlett Johansson, I was saying, the fact that, like, everything about her screams the major, like the body, you know, the persona, everything about her acting screams the major. So it would be ridiculous not to cast her. And like you said, she's a big,
she's a big
well-known actor. Like she's even in Asia, I can definitely like.
Oh yeah,
she's humongous.
Like I'm pretty sure the Avengers movies are pretty popular over there.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I don't have an issue with Ghost in the Shell. I have an issue when a character is very specifically Asian. Like there were, and I think this is more towards like old films more back in the day. There was a lot of films where. They'd have like literally an all cast of Asians, and they'd do that one.
You're talking about something like The Good Earth, which was made with Paul Muni played the lead, and it was set in China, and he was like done up to look Chinese. And
that's whitewashed.
Like the film is still good, but it's distracting the whole time you're watching.
But like that's what annoys me. If like you've got like a whole cast of Asians and then one white guy as the main character, then I'm like. But he's like in the if it's based on a book, if it's based on another story.
It all depends on the context. Like it was like if they remade The Color Purple, right? The Spielberg film, which was a book beforehand, and was it a book or a play? I think it's a play as well. Maybe it's a play as well. I can't remember.
I'm not very educated, unfortunately.
But, it had like Danny Glover and Oprah and a whole bunch of other people in it. It was a pretty big deal back, but it was like it was about some pretty hard times for like black people. But it was like if you recast the whole thing, it was like white people would be ridiculous.
Yeah,
and I'd say, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, like, I wouldn't defend that because that would be stupid.
Yeah,
like, but it's like with something like Ghost in the Shell, it doesn't. Like, I wouldn't care who they cast really, as long as they're good.
Yeah, because especially I think with anime remakes, like I'm not talking about like westernized Disney films. I'm like talking about anime. A lot of the characters are like, especially the ones that are like blonde or blue-eyed or whatever. Then manga artists actually write in that they're from like Europe or something, or they're a mixed. They're like a little halfie. I like to call them halfies, like half Asian, half European, or half one part like the mum's Caucasian, dad's like from yeah. So like I think with Ghost in the Shell, I'm just kind of like she is the major. Like I just said, Scarlett Johansson in a black wig looks kind of silly. That was.
I think the other point that needs to be made. Sorry,
it's fine.
The other point that needs to be made is like. One of the big sort of staples of the cyberpunk genre is the fact that, like, country culture and all that sort of stuff is kind of getting less and less meaningful, and that's actually making things worse for people. Like, they're so disillusioned because they can't really connect with anybody.
Yeah.
It's like everybody speaks a different language to the point where it's like I have to stay in this little group.
Yeah.
With but at the same time, everybody's connected completely.
Yeah.
So it's interference all over the place, and it's like, and the whole sort of feeling of like there's something wrong with this, but you can't quite nail it down. Like there's a lot of things that are a bit off and a bit strange, and like lots of things open to exploitation.
Exactly.
And it's like Blade Runner is exactly the same. It's a cyberpunk film about very similar themes of like your memory can't be trusted. You don't really know what you are, and it's like everything of like that film's set in Los Angeles. But you look at it and you think it's like Tokyo.
Well, if you think of like going to Disney, like Big Hero 6 is set in San Francisco. Oh my god, that's like a cringe word. That's like what? I went to Japan earlier this year, and Japanese people, like not all Japanese people, but a lot of the ads we see, they do this thing where they just merge like two words together. So like the most common one we saw was like Oral Tech. So it was a chewing gum company, and it was Oral and Protect. Oral Tech. Okay. And we're just like, it's a very typical thing, just merging two things. So we thought that was pretty funny.
That feels like lots of companies do that to like brand themselves.
San Francisco and Tokyo. San Francisco.
We put Cinephile and File together.
Ren, it's not about us. Either way, it's quite funny. I think like there's a lot of films, especially Japanese films, where they talk about the distant future, where all of a sudden it's like the lines between like countries, races, languages, everything is just breaking down. And I think Ghost in the Shell does talk about that. Because a lot of people you see in there, they don't look Japanese.
I was actually like thinking like when I was rewatching the first one again, because I hadn't seen it in more than like 10 years, and I was looking and I was going, is it even set in Japan? Like you can't tell.
Because
there's Asian text everywhere, like on everything. But it's like, is this? I don't know.
It could be New York. It could be Japan. Who knows?
Yeah. It's the whole like Blade Runner thing. If you've seen Blade Runner, it's like, where is this set? And you find out it's L.A. and you're like, doesn't look like L.A. at all.
Yeah. You never know. Because like in Ghost in the Shell, like in the anime, you see like guys with grey hair, and then even in the live action film we watched, that the major is a lesbian apparently.
Is she? Like, I don't think she's got anything.
She called in that female stripper.
I know, but prostitute? Stripper? I don't know. But it's like, but she just like touches it. I don't think she's getting anything out of it. She's just trying to work.
Yeah, but that lady is like shaved, dark. She's not like Asian, or she's not Caucasian either. No. So I think they're living in this world where pretty much just people.
All the barriers have been broken down. Everybody's uncomfortable.
Yeah, everyone's beige. That's what it is. Like everyone's just.
It's not even that. It's like they're not. It's not really mixing.
Yeah, because
like you can see the difference in areas.
You had like people speaking English and people replying in Japanese.
Yeah,
like they can understand, but because
they did the Chewbacca thing.
They did do the Chewbacca
where
thing.
Like Chewbacca goes, and then Han goes, yeah, I know, and you go, what?
Yeah, no, well, that was the actor, what was the gentleman, the one we were just
Takeshi
talking about?
Kitano.
Yeah, he would speak in Japanese, and it was very clearly, like I was saying to Ren, it was very clearly filmed at a different time. I
don't know whether it was filmed at a different time or just the two different languages was just jarring.
It was very jarring, because he would talk, and then she'd be like, yeah, I know. And then he'd say something.
Reply back perfectly knowing, and you go, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that kind of threw me off.
But it's like, you can think of like, okay, he's speaking Japanese. Maybe there's some sort of technology and it just translates. Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe when she looks at him, subtitles appear at the bottom of the screen like they did for us.
That's what he's talking about. Yeah.
He was badass though. I know we've talked about him.
He had a pretty awesome scene.
Yeah. It was, like I said, a bit predictable. Like he walks into this car after betraying like one of the guys, or like not betraying.
It does hit all the beats.
Yeah. But you know
Which
what?
is, it's fine.
Okay. It's okay.
It's fine.
I was really angry yesterday.
I'm actually kind of annoyed this isn't making money. Not
Really?
Because I think that they could still make good anime adaptations. It's still possible.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying this one's great. I think it's okay.
Dragon Ball Evolution.
Yeah, I know. Like I was saying, like I don't know whether Dragon Ball's a great thing to remake.
Freaking everyone else. I mean, I guess I just don't know.
But like, how do you make a semi-serious Dragon Ball Z live-action
That's
film?
true. That's like that. I was upset about that. I think that film was whitewashed as well.
Probably.
Yeah, because like literally, Chi-Chi, like, is it Roku?
Don't ask me. I don't know.
All the
I can't
sorry,
remember.
it's been so
I haven't
long
watched it since I was in primary school.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't seen it I haven't seen it since I was 10. What? But yeah, no, like all of them are from like very, very famous Chinese actors or Asian.
Mm.
No, I think they're all Chinese because I know a few of them from like my parents' films. Like they used to watch like Shanghai films and all that. And so they're prominent like Chinese/Asian actors. And then you've got Goku as this white guy, and like once again cannot do stunts, cannot do any of that. Pretty much like Iron.
Because the thing I really believe in the end is like the best person should get the role.
Yeah.
In the end, if the guy can't do anything like fighting convincingly in a way. And that's my whole thing with the guy from Iron Fist. It's like I haven't really watched it, but I've seen some of the action scenes. I'm like, oh my god,
it's not very good. It's very, very.
It looks very low energy. It's like, I guess I'll throw you over here.
A lot.
Yeah.
It's this whole actually. Speaking of like low energy, I was rewatching Civil War last night.
Yeah.
Because I'm lame and I like to watch Marvel films. And like. It was so funny because I remember we were talking about how the characters had to stay morally good because they couldn't kill people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so every scene where there were guns or there was this or that or like violence.
The gun gets knocked away.
Yeah. And there was even this scene that made me kind of laugh where Bucky like Sebastian Stan, I think, the Winter Soldier, pushes some guy off the railings and Captain America goes and catches him.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, come on, you're better than that. And I'm like, just let him die. Fuck me.
The bit where that became obvious to me is when War Machine gets hit by Vision.
Oh, yeah.
And he falls out of the sky. He's apparently paralyzed for all of 5 minutes until Tony Stark can come up with something that stops him from being paralyzed.
His secret power is the same as Batman. He's rich. Yeah, Batman and Iron Man are like the same characters.
Everyone knows that.
Everyone knows there's like a DC equivalent to every Marvel character and vice versa. Sorry, how long have we been filming for?
Almost an hour.
Okay. Do we want to talk about something else, or do we want to keep discussing this?
I don't know. Is there anything more to say on the subject, do you reckon?
I don't know. If I was going to give my final word for this film, it would be, look, I've had way worse. I've had to watch Vampire Academy, you know? So I know where the dark place is, but I was very angry when I got out of the film yesterday because I felt like it just didn't do the original justice. But reflecting on it more, I felt like it did more than what we deserved. Is pretty much what I'm trying to say.
I went into it not expecting very much. I like the original. I'm not a massive fan, but it's like I went into it and I was like, oh, this might be okay. And it was just kind of all right.
I think it's the same equivalent of when we went to see Logan as well, because Ren likes... Well, no, he doesn't. You don't like superheroes that much anymore, but you were very...
I'm fine with them. I'm getting tired of them.
Yeah.
Every second movie that comes out seems to be superhero.
Spider-Man. What was I going to say? Yeah, like, but you knew more about Logan and like the history of Wolverine and their relationship with Charles Xavier. So
I've just seen the other films.
Yeah, well, basically. I haven't because let's be straight, I only became a film student like, 4 years back? You've been a film student technically all your life. But I used to do maths, just thought I'd let you know.
Okay. No, it's actually useful.
Yeah. No, but like, so I wasn't into films until I hit like when I was like 19 and 19, just about then.
Don't ask me. I didn't know you.
Yeah, you knew me. You just ignored me.
Okay.
He ignored me on his first day of orientation.
I was half asleep.
Yeah. Well, like when I hit university, I was like 18, 19. That's when I started getting into film because that's when I started studying film in a more in-depth manner. Before then,
You just kind of went, yay, movies.
I enjoyed Ella Enchanted. Do you remember that film? It is the worst film ever. It's got Anne Hathaway in it.
I don't even know
and
what that is.
Not Hugh Grant. I don't know who. I even watched Angus. I thought Angus Thongs and Perfect Snogging was the best film ever. I loved The Notebook. And you know what?
It's okay.
I go back and I regret it all. I regret it. Actually, you know what? Angus Thongs and Perfect Snogging, I still watch that sometimes. I'm going to be completely honest with you.
Okay.
Is it? It's a good film to watch when you're like 14 because it teaches you better lessons than The Notebook, which is if you're crazy enough, she'll eventually come back to you.
Yeah.
Oh, such a weird film.
I don't know. Whatever.
But yeah, like I think that I deserved more than what I got in that film. And I like, you know what? I came in, I went in very skeptical. And I came out kind of angry about like what they had done with certain parts of the film and like how they had decided to portray her as a character.
I think the reason why I was like, I like that I got surprised a couple of times. I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting this at all.
A lot of it was just me going, oh, this is so violent. Oh, it's going to get violent. Oh, violence.
It didn't really though. It wasn't like bloody violence.
It wasn't bloody. It was just like a lot of fighting. But I guess
there's like no blood in the film. I will say there's none. It's a bloodless movie, which kind of sucks because the original's pretty gory in parts.
With like spinal cords flying and all that.
There's a couple of like gruesome things that happen, but it's pretty tame.
Got to keep it M.
Yeah, they've got to keep it M so that the people 15 and up can get in.
There was this kid sitting near us who kept farting. So
he
weird.
kept farting?
Yeah, he kept farting.
Okay. Oh yeah, he got incredibly excited and was talking to his parents after the Transformers ad played before the movie.
Oh God, we
also
saw the next Pirates of the Caribbean film.
No, we didn't see it.
No, not
saw the trailer.
The trailer. Sorry. But it was so funny because like this new like guy came on and something, and I just
Javier Bardem.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh look, Elena Bloom.
No, it's not.
It was just shit. I don't.
Some other kid that's in it. I might see it. I don't know.
I'm not going to go see it. Just thought I'd let you know. You're going to have to drag my dead body into that theatre.
Okay.
What we do want to see is Batman Lego Movie. I'm going to make you watch. I'm going to make you watch Wonder Woman because it actually looks okay.
I don't mind, but like, it just looks like Captain America to me. Pretty much.
Yeah. Oh, they fall in love.
The origin story is different.
Fall in love, and then she's going to get frozen in an ice cube.
I don't even think that. I think she can just live for a very long time, can't she?
She's Amazonian. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not really familiar with Wonder Woman. I
really hope they don't bring in her invisible jet.
Why? What's wrong with the invisible jet?
Weird. Or maybe actually they probably will. Maybe they'll.
It's weird that she has an invisible jet. Now that I think about it, that's
it's a very specific thing, isn't it? Or a lasso of truth.
I guess like they're like, strange. Oh well, Superman can fly around the world. Batman's got his Batmobile. Best to give Wonder Woman and
something
jet. Let's put an adjective in front of it. Invisible. That'll work. That'll do. So funny. It's like naming, like when kids name their toys, like blue elephant, pink rabbit, invisible jet.
It's not a colour.
It's a style.
Okay, I suppose.
What else is coming? I think we're going to spend the last maybe 15 minutes talking about films we might be looking at.
I suppose like probably all the obvious ones. Guardians of the Galaxy's coming out soon.
I don't know how to feel about that because I'm scared. I'm scared my expectations
I have as with every sequel, I don't think it'll be as good as the first.
Nothing's ever good as the first.
As much as Baby Groot looks cute.
Oh, he is so cute though. What else is coming out? Oh, sorry. We're definitely gonna look at The Red Pill.
We're looking at that next week. That's a doco.
Yeah. What's it about?
So it's about a feminist called Cassie J went and had a look at the men's rights movement, or a part of it, I think.
Okay. There was this one experiment some lady conducted where she dressed up as a man and like went into work as a man and all that stuff, and like she didn't tell anyone, and she just introduced herself as a new person.
Mm-hmm.
And she was saying that men actually like more emotionally suppressed than women.
Yeah, like I don't doubt that.
Yeah, I don't doubt that either. It was pretty...
I will say I've already seen the documentary, just Linda hasn't yet.
Oh, okay.
So...
Sad.
So I won't say anything.
Okay, don't say anything yet because I want to go watch it. Cure for Wellness is already out, so we might have...
That was one we wanted to see.
Yeah.
We really wanted to see it. I really wanted to see it just because it looked so weird.
It looked quite bizarre. It
looked like it was really nicely shot.
It was the aesthetic was very, very like...
It's got like a really weird green, kind of unsettling, tinge, but nice.
Like, you know, like when you go to like a psychiatric ward and everything's like blue and grey and that...
The calming tones.
Yeah, calming.
Calming tones.
And like...
Doesn't look calming though, that movie.
No, it looks really, really weird.
I've heard like mixed reviews, which are the types of movies I like to go and see because it's like...
You get to make your
nobody knows what the hell to make of it. And then you go in and you go, okay, I don't know.
There are also... I'm actually not happy with this. Like, I love Disney, but I'm not happy with this. They're planning on making, I think, 17, 19 remakes in the next few years of just Disney films. Yep. I didn't even know Disney had that many films.
Oh, they've got more than that.
Or like,
way more.
Really famous like animated films. Because in my head, the only big ones are like Beauty and the Beast, Mulan, Cinderella, Snow White.
Walt Disney's won the most Oscars out of anybody, I think. Hasn't he? Him and Vera Wang, I think. She was a costume designer. I think that's true.
Whenever you say Vera, I think of Bride Wars, where it's like, you don't alter Vera to fit you, you alter yourself to fit Vera. That's what I remember.
Actually, I think I'm getting the name wrong.
Vera Wang.
Somebody else. And Vera Wang's like an actual designer.
She's an actual designer.
Yeah, so that's not who I'm thinking of.
You don't alter yourself. You don't alter Vera to fit you. You alter Vera yourself to fit Vera. I don't know. No. I'm not saying like Disney doesn't have that many films. I'm just thinking like really, really famous.
But it's like, why bother?
Are they going to remake Frozen as a live action? Because that trend just died down. And oh my God, I was so sick and tired. I'm so sick and tired of that trend. What happens if they remake Twilight?
Don't even say that.
Am I allowed to
Don't
say
that. Somebody important might hear... Oh, I doubt it, but somebody important might hear it and go, that's like a great idea.
2 years down the line, everyone's like backtracking to the first episode. Twilight as a live action.
No, but Twilight's already a live action movie.
Damn it.
Terrible live action.
Maybe they make an anime out of it. I'm pretty sure... No, what was it? Vampire Hunter or something? Vampire Knight? That's pretty much like a Twilight-esque.
Vampire Knight.
Have you never... I think it's called Vampire Knight. It played on like... You know what's the funniest thing? It played on ABC Kids for like... Don't ask how I know.
Okay.
I used to watch kids shows in my spare time.
I used to when I was in primary school as well.
Yeah, I still do sometimes. Okay. You know what? Sometimes I feel sad that I can't sit down every morning and watch kids' cartoons, okay? That should be socially acceptable, even though, to be fair, it's not worth watching now because all the cartoons are annoying. But, yeah, like it talks about this girl who's like, she goes to a school where it's half humans, half vampires. Vampires have classes at night, humans have classes during the day. And she's a vampire hunter or vampire knight. So what she does is she like guards the school during the night when the vampires are awake.
Right. Is she a student?
Yes. Yes. And then
why is she given that responsibility?
I don't know. And then one of her friends called Zero, I know, original name, Zero, he gets bitten by... Okay, so there's different like ranks of vampires, and I'm not about to go into that right now, but the different ranks is like... And then the lowest rank of feral vampires, and he got bitten by one of... Or if you're bitten, you turn into a feral vampire.
Sounds annoying.
And so she's like apparently... The only way... I'm not about to spoil... Actually, should I spoil this for people?
Does anybody care?
Well, it's a really old anime, so if you haven't seen it, I'm really sorry. But yeah, pretty much by the end of it, she has like this thing with this guy who's also a vampire. And by the end of it, it turns out that she's his sister. But in vampire world, brothers and sisters get married and her vampire powers were hidden away. And so when he bit her, she awoken and became his wife/sister.
Okay.
And then Zero's all upset because Zero and her had like this little lovey thing going on. This was played on a kids show. This was played on ABC Kids.
Very strange.
And I'm like, do you know like 10-year-olds are watching this? They might get weird ideas. This is like full. This wasn't just like, oh, you know, he's technically not my biological brother, but he's my step brother. This wasn't anything like that. They were full blown from the same womb.
Okay.
This is full blown incest in this animation film. And like I thought
the Targaryens.
I thought that because like they censored like back to Sailor Moon, but they censored Sailor Neptune and Sailor Uranus's like relationship, like lesbian relationship. That they were lesbians.
I had no idea.
But I thought that's in some way, in some form, they would have somehow censored this into being like, oh, you know, we're not siblings, we're just cousins, distant cousins.
Joking.
It's not fine.
Of course, it's not fine. But apparently, it is, according to whatever that is.
Anyways, I think we should wrap it up here.
Yeah, should probably wrap it up.
Okay.
That last bit was we'll call that Linda's ramblings.
We'll call that Linda's time, Linda's corner.
Linda's time to just talk
about incestuous vampire relationships.
Yes.
I think we'll talk about.
We're gonna, for the moment, it's early days. We'll be doing this like every 2 weeks.
Yes. So you'll hear from us in 2 weeks' time.
Yes.
Hopefully, I will not talk about something weird.
No promises there.
No promises there.
Definitely
See,
no guarantees.
Ren is the if you're planning on listening to us in the near future, Ren is the more serious, gonna keep my mind on track, and I'm the one who flits and flats all over the scene, and I just go from one thing to the other without really.
She even makes up words like flats and.
I like to make things up because I'm very colourful on the inside.
She says that she's wearing entirely black.
I'm wearing entirely. I like to wear black a lot.
So do I. That's my thing.
Okay, I think we should wrap this up now.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us. If you did,
yes, thank you for listening.
You can find us on YouTube and on Spreaker at the moment. We're working on when we've got a few episodes under our belt. We'll probably be on iTunes at some point.
Yeah, we've also got Instagram,
Facebook,
Twitter, all that jazz going on. Follow us because we're probably going to post like once a year, as everyone does.
No, we'll be more often than that, more consistent. But it's probably most platforms will be like at Suicidal Cinefiles.
Yeah,
spelt FILES because it's like case files.
Oh yeah. We'll talk to you soon.
We shall talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.